Dear Libra, the moment has come. The 800-year curse that has wrapped itself around your voice, your truth, and your sacred power is unraveling now. And the prophecy that has waited for centuries in silence is awakening through you, in this very month, in this very moment. You didn't click on this video by accident. In a world of billions, with countless distractions, something deeper guided you here. And I believe that something is the quiet echo of your soul remembering. You've been sensing it, haven't you? That strange intensity rising inside your chest lately. The emotional waves that come out of nowhere. The urge to clean, to let go, to change everything even when life seems stable on the surface. That's not restlessness. That's activation. Libra, your energy has long been misunderstood. You've been labeled indecisive or overly diplomatic. But the truth is far more powerful. You are the keeper of universal harmony. You are the one who balances light and shadow not by avoiding conflict, but by holding truth in both hands. And for 800 years, that power has been muted because the world wasn't ready for what you represent. Divine justice with a gentle touch, clarity without cruelty, beauty born from chaos. But now the tides are turning. August 2025 marks a once-in-8 centuries astrological gateway, a rare convergence of Venus, your ruling planet, with Saturn and Jupiter that mirrors the last great alignment in 1225. The sacred scale is shifting, Libra. And for the first time in centuries, you are no longer being called to compromise. You're being called to lead. This isn't just a prediction. This is a remembrance. This is a homecoming of the soul. So before we go any further, I want to thank you. Truly. Thank you for showing up, for being here with me, and for choosing to listen to the call of your spirit. Every like, every comment, every subscription you offer nourishes this sacred space we're creating together here at Zodiac Whisper Tarot. You are part of something ancient, something cosmic, and something deeply personal. And let me be honest with you, Libra, you will want to stay with me until the very end of this message. Because what the universe is about to reveal through your story, through your light, will explain why you've always felt a little out of place and why that's the very sign that you were born to awaken the prophecy, not run from it. Now, let me ask you something quietly but sincerely. What number just popped into your mind while you were listening? That number isn't random. It's sacred. Comment that number below so I know you're here, that you're connected, and that the prophecy has already begun its work within you. Let's go deeper together. Your journey isn't starting today. It's finally being remembered. Some burdens are not seen but deeply felt. For Libra, this unseen weight has often taken the shape of silency, an inherited silence that stretches back hundreds of years, cloaked not in myth, but in energetic truth. From the year 1225 to this very moment, a karmic imprint has quietly rested on the shoulders of souls like yours, souls who long not only for balance, but for justice steeped in grace. What makes you so unique, dear Libra, is your ability to see both sides of every story and still hold the center. But for centuries, that sacred ability has been misunderstood. The world has called you indecisive when, in truth, you were discerning. It has labeled you passive when all along, you were listening to energies unspoken, to emotions others couldn't name, to injustices no one else would call out. And yet, instead of being honored for that sensitivity, you were often left carrying emotional burdens that were never truly yours. That is the silent legacy of the curse. It isn't a curse cast by magic, it's a long-standing imbalance in how the world perceives your role and how you perceive your worth. The energetic field around Libra has been conditioned to self-sacrifice. Not by nature, but by survival. Because when a person stands in truth with beauty, with peace, and with diplomacy, they become a threat to systems built on division. Your energy, soft yet unyielding, mirrors the divine harmony that many forces in history have tried to erase. But they could never truly silence what was designed to restore. Your energy is restorative by design. That's why, even in lifetimes when your voice trembled or remained hidden, your presence still held power. Now, in this chapter of global awakening, something ancient and long dormant is beginning to lift. The curse is simply the metaphor for a cycle that demanded too much of your soul without giving enough back. And the truth is, you are Aloedno, you are invited to redefine what balance means for you now. Not balance through suppression, not balance through compromise, but balance that honors both your inner truth and your outer reality. As someone who carries the essence of cosmic harmony, your role is not to quiet your truth to keep others comfortable. Your role is to live in such a way that your very life becomes the mirror through which others recognize where they've gone off center. That's why your energy often triggers others, not because you're wrong, but because your very existence points them back toward a truth they've abandoned. This isn't easy. And no divine calling ever is. But you were never meant to walk through life unnoticed. You were meant to walk through life aligned. Sometimes, the most revolutionary act is simply to stay soft in a hardened world. And sometimes, the most divine power is the one that never demands the spotlight, yet holds the entire room in harmony. You don't need to defend that anymore. You don't need to explain it. Just honor it. Trust that what has been hidden for centuries is being healed in you now. You are not responsible for carrying old karma. You are responsible for choosing differently starting now. Let this be your reminder that even in Scripture, we are told that the meek shall inherit the earth, not because they are weak, but because they understand power without needing to overpower. You are that kind of strength. You are that kind of peace. And this is the lifetime where the world will begin to remember it. Let others misunderstand. Let old systems fall away. You are not here to maintain the illusion. You are here to embody the truth. Something is shifting beneath the surface, Libra, and if you felt it, you're not imagining it. You've likely noticed the change not through logic, but through sensation, that wave of emotion for no obvious reason, that sudden need to declutter your space, that mysterious dream that lingered in your mind longer than it should have. Perhaps you found yourself thinking of someone from your past or someone you haven't even met yet but feel deeply connected to. These are not coincidences. These are energetic tremors rippling through your soul, whispering that something much bigger is in motion. And that something is connected to the unique astrological alignment awaiting you this August. In the language of astrology, rare configurations speak to rare moments in destiny. Venus, your ruling planet, is not just about beauty or romance. It governs the architecture of connection, how you love, how you relate, how you create harmony. In August 2025, Venus aligns with key nodal points that govern fate and spiritual evolution, while also mirroring a formation that last appeared in 1225. This is not just a planetary transit. This is a karmic mirror returning after 8 centuries to offer Libra souls a chance to reclaim what was silenced, forgotten, or hidden. The beauty of being ruled by Venus is that your transformation doesn't roar, it radiates. You don't crash into awakening. You bloom into it. That is exactly what is happening now. You're not just feeling more, you're being recalibrated. Your nervous system, your thoughts, your intuition theory all attuning to a frequency that was sealed away for generations. And this time, you aren't being pushed into the shadows. You are being invited to rise. When the ancients observed celestial patterns, they didn't just study them as external phenomena. They believed those same patterns echoed within us. So, when this rare alignment occurs, it's not just the sky that moves, it's the soul. That's why you may have been feeling disoriented or overwhelmed. It's not just change, it's release. Old karmic loops, especially those rooted in compromise, invisibility, and emotional labor, are unraveling. And it's okay if you don't have all the answers right now. Liberation doesn't always come with instructions. Sometimes, it begins with awareness and unfolds one moment at a time. You may even find yourself questioning things that used to feel certain. That, too, is part of the process. Because when energy elevates, anything that no longer resonates must fall away. This isn't a crisis of identity. It's a clearing. The universe is making space inside you for what is next. And yet, in the middle of all this intensity, there is a deeper message, one that aligns with both astrological insight and gentle wisdom passed down across spiritual traditions. You were never meant to carry the entire world alone. You were never asked to be perfect, only present. And you were never defined by how others see you. You are defined by how faithfully you respond to what calls you. In moments like this, the most sacred choice you can make is to keep listening to yourself, to your heart, to the still small voice within that always points toward peace. So if this message resonates with something you've already been feeling, know that you are not alone. These signs are not random, and neither is your timing. You didn't miss your momentary walking right into it. The activation is happening, Libra, not in grand gestures, but in subtle awakenings, in every decision to choose what feels true, in every breath that softens the old tension, in every small act of self-trust. And just like the planets above, your realignment cannot be stopped. The sky is opening, and this time, it's opening for you. If you felt even one of these signs, if your body has been speaking in shivers, if your dreams have been louder, or if you've simply known something is different, drop your experience in the comments. Let your voice join the constellation of awakened Libras who, just like you, are remembering who they are. There's a reason, Libra, why you often find yourself caught between two truths, two people, two paths. It's not because you're indecisive or unclear, it's because you were born with the rare ability to hold space for both. You were designed to witness the world not in absolutes, but in contrast, and that's not a flaw, it's a sacred gift. Yours is the soul that knows how to hold paradox gently, to see the storm and the stillness and understand that both belong. In the cosmic dance of light and shadow, you were never meant to choose sides. You were meant to stand at the threshold, balancing both. This isn't always easy. Being a bridge often means you feel everything twice, your own emotions and those of the people around you. Your relationships are intense not because you're dramatic, but because your presence acts like a mirror. You reflect what others are not ready to see in themselves. That's why people are drawn to you and also why they sometimes pull away. It's not rejection of who you are, but resistance to what you reveal. Libra energy is ruled by Venus, yes, but Venus is not just about romance and beauty. Venus is about values, what we honor, what we protect, what we sacrifice for peace. And the truth is, many Libras have been trained to keep the peace at the expense of their own voice. But the era we're entering now doesn't need passive harmony. It needs conscious leadership. Quiet strength. Truth delivered with grace. And this is the exact space where you thrive. Your calling is to bring light where confusion has reigned, but that doesn't mean dimming your own truth just to keep others comfortable. There's a lesson whispered in sacred teachings that reminds us, we're not asked to carry every burden for everyone. We're simply asked to walk with integrity in the light we've been given. That's all you need to do now. Your role isn't to solve everyone's battles. It's to stop silencing your own clarity out of fear of conflict. The world needs your insight, not your silence. Your truth doesn't have to be loud or forceful to be powerful. Sometimes, the softest voice in the room carries the deepest authority. You don't need to fight to be heard, you just need to stop hiding what you already know. You already see through illusion. You already feel when something is out of alignment. Now is the time to trust that, and speak from that space. Your past might have taught you that being in between is isolating, that neutrality is weakness. But the truth is, the middle path often requires more courage than any extreme. It takes incredible strength to hold space when everyone else chooses sides. It takes wisdom to know that transformation doesn't happen in noise, but in stillness. And it takes heart to believe that love can heal what division has broken. You are not here to be the person who makes everyone else feel okay. You are here to be the person who helps them return to balance, not by fixing them, but by embodying what alignment looks and feels like. That's how you lead. That's how you awaken others. Not through control, but through example. If it feels like the world is shifting around you, it's because it is. And if it feels like something within you is ready to break open, let it. That cracking is not destruction, it's expansion. You no longer have to hold the gate between two worlds alone. Others are waking up. You are being met. And more importantly, you are being seen, not just for the peace you bring, but for the truth you carry. When the world has tried to define you for centuries, choosing yourself becomes a revolutionary act. Libra, this is not about waiting for a cosmic sign or hoping someone else gives you permission to rise. This is about reclaiming the truth that has always lived inside you, even if it was buried beneath years of silence, sacrifice, or self-doubt. You don't need to be chosen by anyone else to awaken. You only need to recognize that your time has come. And this time, you get to begin from within. Rituals are not just symbolic gestures. They are containers of focus, anchors that help the soul remember what the mind may forget. In astrology, Venus gifts you the ability to infuse meaning into beauty, to find sacredness in the ordinary. So when you light a white candle beneath the waning moon, you're not just performing a step. You are aligning your physical world with a spiritual frequency that says, I am ready. I'm no longer resisting what has been waiting for me. The light of the flame becomes a mirror reflecting the part of you that has never been extinguished, only waiting to be acknowledged. Writing a letter to your future self might seem simple. But the act is profound. It bridges the present with what's possible. It invites your vision to take form beyond your thoughts. In the language of energy, intention is everything. And by declaring what kind of person you're becoming, what kind of peace you embody, what kind of truth you stand for, you shift the energetic patterns that once held you back. You stop repeating and start recreating. The curse doesn't end with magic. It ends the moment you stop believing you're unworthy of the life you came here to live. And when you place your hand on your heart and close your eyes, it's more than stillness. It's sovereignty. You're not escaping. You're connecting to the source of alignment that was never out there, but always inside. Imagine yourself standing between two scales, not to balance the world for others, but to feel what it means to be in balance with yourself. You no longer have to bend to make others comfortable. You no longer need to carry the emotional weight of everyone else's chaos. That image of light flowing from your palms is not fantasy. It's the energy of integrity returning to its rightful owner, you. Across many sacred teachings, there's a quiet reminder that freedom begins the moment we choose truth over fear. And truth does not require volume. It requires clarity. It requires presence. And it requires faith, not in some faraway force, but in your own alignment. When you show up for yourself through these rituals, you're not only breaking cycles, you're remodeling a new way of being for those who have watched you dim your light for far too long. Let go of the idea that you must earn this. You've already walked through lifetimes of proving yourself. Now, your only responsibility is to honor your inner knowing. Choose the candle. Write the letter. Touch your heart. Not because you need to become someone else, but because you are finally willing to see who you've been all along. The silence is ending not by accident, but by your own sacred choice. And that, Libra, is the real prophecy unfolding through you. Not everyone is ready to see what you see, Libra. And that has never been your fault. Your presence alone tends to reveal what others have kept buried, grief they've ignored, desires they've silenced, or parts of themselves they've been afraid to acknowledge. It's not because you speak loudly, but because your energy holds up a mirror that reflects authenticity. And for many, that reflection can feel uncomfortable. But that discomfort doesn't mean you've done something wrong. It means you're doing exactly what your soul came here to do: hold the vibration of truth, gently but firmly. Throughout your life, you may have felt like the outsider. You may have found yourself surrounded by people but still carrying an invisible solitude, sensing that no one quite understood your depth or your intention. This is what happens when your light shines in ways others aren't yet ready to recognize. But it's also what makes your role so necessary. The world doesn't need more voices that echo the noise. It needs voices that come from clarity, from heart, from lived experience. And yours is one of them. Astrologically, Libra is governed by Venus, the planet of love, harmony, and higher values. But this rulership also grants you a kind of X-ray vision for what's out of alignment. You don't just notice imbalance, you feel it. In people, in systems, in yourself. And for so long, you've tried to correct those imbalances by adjusting who you are. But that time has passed. This era doesn't ask you to fix everything. It asks you to embody what it looks like when truth and grace coexist. You are not here to bend so others can stand taller. You're here to stand in your center so others remember they have one too. Energetically, the mirror you offer is sacred. It doesn't just reflect appearances, it reflects essence. It reflects truth. And when you allow yourself to live that truth, even if your voice shakes, even if you're afraid, you give permission for others to do the same. That's how change happens, not by force, but by resonance. When one soul chooses alignment, it sends ripples through the entire collective. That is your gift. That is your power. Sometimes, those ripples feel like loneliness. But you're not alone. There are others like you, gentle leaders, quiet truth-bearers, soulful visionaries who have been watching and waiting for a signal that it's safe to show up fully. You are that signal. By speaking, you spark recognition. By showing up in your authenticity, you remind others of their own. That is what it means to be chosen, not above anyone else, but for something ancient, something collective, something that only unfolds when truth is lived, not just understood. In sacred wisdom, there is a simple teaching: your light is not just for you. It is a lamp to help others find their way too. But you must first let it shine without apology. What if, from this moment on, you stopped holding back? What if you treated your voice as sacred, your story as holy, your presence as enough? You don't have to perform the prophecy. You only have to live like it's already begun, because it has. So pause and ask yourself, gently but clearly, if the prophecy were unfolding through you right now, in this exact version of your life, what would you choose differently today? That question isn't a test. It's an invitation. One that only you can answer. And when you do, know that the answer, whatever it may be, holds more light than you realize. Because every choice toward truth is a choice that changes the world. One aligned Libra at a time. And now, dear Libra, we've reached the moment where all the threads come together: the wisdom you've remembered, the truth you've reclaimed, the mirror you've dared to become. You've walked through centuries of silence, through misunderstanding and self-sacrifice, and somehow, you've still carried grace in your every step. That is no small thing. That is sacred. But the question that remains now isn't what has happened to you. The real question is, what will you choose to do with everything you now know? The 800-year cycle is not just a myth written in stars. It's a cycle of consciousness, and you are the one who gets to end it, not through a single act, but through a new way of showing up. So ask yourself, what would change in your life if you stopped believing you had to keep the peace by staying quiet? What new version of yourself might emerge if you trusted your truth enough to live it, even when it shakes your voice or unsettles those around you? This isn't about becoming someone else. This is about allowing the most aligned version of you to finally come forward. And it starts with one honest action, one gentle decision, one moment where you say, "I'm done pretending I don't know who I am." You do know. You've always known. You are not here to be everything for everyone. You're here to be fully yourself, and that is enough to shift the energy of a room, of a relationship, of an entire lifetime. So take a breath and tune into what your heart is whispering right now. Is it telling you to let something go? To finally say something? To begin again? Don't rush the answer. Just promise yourself that you will listen. Because your truth has waited long enough. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be real. If today's message stirred something inside you, if you felt seen in a way you hadn't expected, I encourage you to share your thoughts in the comments. Not just for me but for the other Libras watching who need someone like you to remind them they're not alone. Your words might be the spark that helps another soul awaken. And if you felt the energy shift, if you know deep down that this is your moment, then write this below as your declaration. I am the Libra prophecy awakened. The 800-year curse ends with me. There is power in those words. And there is power in your presence here. Thank you for spending this sacred time with me. Every like, every comment, every subscription is not just support, it's soul-to-soul connection, and it means more than you know. You are part of this living constellation we call Zodiac Whisper Tarot, and your energy helps guide where we go next together. So if this message resonated, stay close. There's more light coming. And next time, maybe you'll be the one who leads it forward. Until then, ask yourself gently, if I lived today as if the prophecy is already unfolding in me, what would I do differently, starting now?